Hi guys, this is Amar and welcome to Network Engineer Stuff. So guys, in this video, we're going to focus on basic networking interview question and answers for fresher. And guys, this is part 2. So in part 1 guys, we have already seen from question number 1 till question number 10. So now we will focus from question number 11. So the question number 11 is, what is the difference between a switch and a router? So guys, this is a very basic question. A switch and a router both are networking devices. The major difference, if you talk that what is the difference between a switch and a router, is that the layer, that is the OSI layer on which they operate. So the switch operate at layer 2 and the router operate at layer 3. So layer 2 is guys nothing but the data link layer, whereas layer 3 is nothing but the network layer. So switch is a layer 2 device and the router is a layer 3 device. A switch connects devices within the same network. So whenever you need to connect devices in the same network, you use switch, and when you want to connect different networks, we use routers. I'll repeat, to connect devices within the same network, we use switch, and when we wanted to connect different networks, we use a router. Okay, so this is another difference. As we already mentioned that switch is a layer 2 device. So guys, layer 2, when we talk about layer 2, so MAC address is a layer 2 address. And whenever we talk about layer 3, IP address is a layer 3 address. Okay, so switch uses MAC address. Okay, since it's a layer 2 device, right? So it uses MAC address to forward frames. And since the router is a layer 3 device, it uses IP address to route packets between subnets or between networks. So this is another difference. So guys, you can answer in this way the difference between a switch and a router. So let's move to the next question. Now guys, question number 12. What is DHCP and why it is used? So guys, DHCP is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Now, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol is a protocol which automatically assigns IP addresses and other network configuration details like gateway, DNS to devices. It eliminates the need for manual configuration. So what is it? Like, in one of the network, let's say there's a campus network and we have multiple PCs or host or you say workstations, anything, in our network. Okay. Let's say they're connected to something, some switches. Okay. They're connected. Now, if you wanted to assign IP addresses to this PCs or just to this host, what you'll do, we have to go on each PC and assign the IP address manually. Okay, so this manually we have to assign the IP address, the subnet marks, the gateway, the DNS IP, and everything. Okay, so this is like and work which requires sort of efforts, and it is a waste of time. So to eliminate this thing, to eliminate this need of this so-called manual configuration, DHCP came into picture. So what DHCP do is, there's basically a DHCP server in this network. Let's say this is our network. So we have, let's say, a DHCP server. Okay. Now we can have more than we can have one DNS server, or sorry, DHCP server, or we can have multiple DHCP server in our network, depending upon the need of the network or how big or how critical the network is. So this DHCP server assign IP addresses and this other network configurational stuff to this hosts automatically. Okay, so this is the benefit why we use a DHCP server. So DHCP server automatically assign IP addresses and other network configurational details to the hosts. Okay, so this host will be, they will be called what? DHCP client. Since they are using the services provided by DHCP servers, so this host will be called as DHCP client. So guys, you can answer in this way. You may explain like in this format, maybe with this help of this small topology, and you can very well explain and present your answer. A sub question to this question would be that what is the process of DHCP, or how the DHCP protocol works? So the answer to this question is DORA. Not this, guys. This is another DORA, but this is our DORA, where we which defines this process of DHCP. So DORA stands for discover, offer, request, acknowledge. So these are the messages. Okay, discover message, offer message, request message, acknowledge message. So these are all type of messages. Okay, so let's say this is our host, or this host will be called as DHCP client, correct? And let's say this is our DHCP. So we'll draw it like this. This is our DHCP server. Okay. So the very first thing in this DHCP process happens that this DHCP client, it will send a discovery message. Okay. A discover message to the DHCP server. Now this discover message is a broadcast message. This discover message, guys, is a broadcast message, and the purpose of sending this discover message, as its name suggests, you want to discover which all are the available DHCP servers in the network. Okay, so let's say there's only one DHCP server in the network. So this DHCP server receives this discover message. Now what DHCP server will do is that it will reply that particular DHCP client with offer message. Now this offer message will contain IP address, subnet marks, that gateway, and the lease time. Lease time is something like, this is the lease time for which you can use this IP address and this other network configurational stuff. So it will provide this, offer this thing to the client. Now DHCP server has offered. Now what DHCP client will do is that it will send a request. Okay, it will accept that offer and it will request, okay, fine, okay, allocate me that IP address and provide me with the other configurational stuff also. So it will tell me. So it will tell that DHCP server. Now what DHCP server will do? Fine, acknowledged, and it will provide that IP address and the other stuff, configuration stuff, to this DHCP client. So guys, in this way the DHCP process works, or the DHCP works. So if somebody asks you this question related to DHCP process, so DHCP process is nothing but DORA, and you can easily answer. It's a very, very easy concept, and it's some very, very easy stuff to remember. Once you just go through this, guys, if you want this notes, this PPTs or this PDF in the PDF file, I can provide you. I'll at the end of this video, I'll provide you one email address and a WhatsApp number. So I have that slide also. Question number 13. What is ARP and how does it work? So guys, ARP is nothing but address resolution protocol, and it is used to map an IP address to a MAC address in a local network. So guys, we saw in the very first video that what is an IP address and what is a MAC address. So IP address is a layer 3 address, and whereas MAC address is a layer 2 address. Okay, so if you wanted to map this both addresses, we use ARP. Okay, so when a device wants to communicate, it sends an ARP request asking who has this IP, and the device with that IP respond its MAC address. So let's say we have a switch. Okay guys, of course in the interviews you can draw such small topologies to explain this answers. Okay, so this is let's say a small topology. Here we have a few hosts. It's a 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we have this host, let's say 1, 2, 3 and 4. This have an IP address, let is 10.1.1.1. Let's say this have 10.1.1.2. Let's have 10.1.1.3. This have 10.1.1.4. Let's say if it have an MAC address of AA. Let's say this have an MAC address of BB. This have CC and this have DD. Now let's say this host 1, okay, want to communicate with this host 3. Okay, so it will send some, it will have to send some message to communicate with it, right? Okay, but for that communication, okay, it should have few details. Okay, let's say you wanted to communicate with someone, you wanted to send some message to someone, you should have his mobile number, right? Okay, if you want to send some courier, you will need its postal address, right? So in the same way, when this PC1 want to send something to this PC3, you will require that details, and that details will be nothing but this layer 2 and layer 3 address. Now let's say this user over here have this IP address of this PC3, that is 10.10.10.1.1.3. So what all details we have currently is the source IP address. Source IP address will be 10.1.1.1. Destination IP address will be 10.1.1.3. Then it should have source MAC address also. So source MAC address we already have, okay, that is AA. But destination MAC address, guys, we won't have. Fine. So what this PC1 will do is it will send an ARP. Okay, it will send an ARP, and this ARP will consist of all this stuff. Okay, so this will be a broadcast message basically. Okay, so once the switch receive this, it will forward it to all this on all its ports. Okay, now this ARP message will have this information, and it will be figuring out that who has this IP address. Please let me know, does anybody have this IP address 10.1.1.3? If it have, guys, please do reply me with its MAC address. So once this ARP request comes to PC2, since the PC2 have the IP address 10.1.1.2, okay, it will open that ARP message, and in that ARP message the destination IP address which it require will be 10.1.1.3. so it is not there, so it will reject that ARP message. It will not respond to that ARP message. PC4 will also do the same stuff, but what PC3 will do is that it will find yes I am 10.1.1.3, and it will respond to that ARP message with its MAC address, that is CC. So it will get this information which was missing, that is destination MAC address, and it will get that destination MAC address. So in this way the ARP work. So you can, in your interview, guys, you can explain this particular stuff, step by step. You can give your answers, and it will be, guys, very useful if you explain your answers with small topology. So always carry a pen whenever you are approaching for a face-to-face interview, pen and paper, maybe that is very convenient way to answer whenever you are approaching any technical interviews, guys. This is very important to note. Question number 14. What is the purpose of default gateway? So whenever we talk about a default gateway, the purpose of default gateway is to communicate with devices in other networks. Okay, so this default gateway, guys, is nothing but a layer 3 device. Why I tell you now, as we have been in the very first question only, we have seen that on question number 11 we saw that a layer 3 device, layer 3 device or a router, it is used to communicate between networks. Okay, so whenever you wanted to communicate between networks, you use router. So here is the placement of this layer 3 device or the router. So this is a router, this is also a router, this is the switch, this is also a switch. Okay, so this you are now understanding what is the placement of this particular devices in the network. Okay, so let's say this PC, this is a PC. Okay, 10.1.1.100 and 10.1.1.200. okay, so these are the two PCs, okay, which are in the same subnet or in the same network, we can say. Now if they wanted to communicate, they will communicate via switch. Fine. If these two PCs in the same subnet, if they wanted to communicate, they will communicate via this switch. Now let's say this PC 10.1.1.100 wants to communicate with 20.1.1.100, which is in the other subnet. It will have to go through this router. Okay, now this PC will require this particular IP, that is 10.1.1.1, which is the default gateway. So whenever the host wanted to communicate outside its network, whenever the host wanted to communicate outside its network, it will use default gateway. So that is default gateway. So guys, default gateway is nothing but a layer 3 device IP address which allows the host to communicate outside its network or outside the subnet. Okay, so this is nothing but a default host, and it is also known as the exit point. Exit point from the LAN or from the local network. Okay, so guys, in this way you can explain your answer. So guys, let's move to question number 15. What is port number in networking? Give examples. So whenever we are talking about network, whenever we are using this network, guys, we are establishing this networks, we are studying this protocols, everything. What is the main purpose of this, of having any network? Is to provide communication, between maybe in most of the cases between a server and a host. Okay, so between a server and a host. Okay, we want to communicate with something. So this something is nothing but service, right? Okay, so the service should have some identification, right? Okay, that this is a service. Let's say there is a service of DNS. It should have some identification. Now this identification is provided by port number. So port number identifies a specific service or a process on a device. So there's a lot of services which are running on your networking devices. So do remember this. Now in this interviews, most of time this questions will be asked that, okay, let me know the port number of HTTP. Now most of the guys who have done engineering, of course they will be aware that HTTP is port number 80, HTTPS is port number 443, and DNS is port number 53. So guys, if you want the complete list of the port numbers, you can let me know in the comment section with your email address. I can provide you. I have one good PDF. I'll share with you. So if you want these details, guys, I think so we should stop here in this video, and maybe in the next video we'll continue with this other questions. As I told, guys, if you want the notes or if you want any help, you can of course communicate me on this particular email address, that is networkengineerstuff@gmail.com. You can also WhatsApp me on this number 8828002605. So you can also WhatsApp me on this number. I do reply, guys, on this particular number and on this particular email address. So guys, I'll stop here. We will catch up in next video with more question and answers. And till then, guys, keep studying, keep working hard. Subscribe to my channel, Network Engineer Stuff, and best of luck. Thank you.